Good morning, students. In yesterday's class, we had completed the story A Rose for Emily by William Faulkner. In my earlier classes, I had told you about the summary of the story and that the story was divided into 5 sections and what happens to Emily at the beginning of the story and what is and how the story ends on a tragic note. Since this is a long and a complicated story, let me give you the summary of the story. But before we begin with the story, let me tell you something about the author. William Faulkner was born on September 25th, 1897 and died on July 6, 1962. He was an American writer and Nobel Prize laureate from Oxford. He wrote novels, short stories, screenplays, poetry, essays, and a play. He is one of the most celebrated writers in American literature. His short story, prescribed in your syllabus, A Rose for Emily, was his first story published in a major magazine, The Forum, but it received little attention from the public. After revisions and reissues, it gained popularity and is now considered as one of its best. In today's class, we will be taking up the summary of the first 3 sections, and the remaining 2 sections will be discussed in the next class. Let us begin with the story, the summary of the story. As you all know, the story is divided into 5 sections. The main protagonist of the story is Miss Emily Greason. Part 1 begins with the death of Emily. The entire community, comprising of men and women, attend the funeral because of different reasons. The men out of some respectful affection for a fallen monument, and the women mostly out of curiosity. No one in the town knew Emily except an old manservant, a combined gardener and cook who had been in at least 10 years. The story is narrated by an unnamed and assumed person of the town. Emily had been different. She never married, rarely went out, and died alone at the age of 74. Her entire life and existence was a puzzle for the townspeople to piece together. In the first section, she is described as a small, fat woman in black with a thin gold chain descending to her waist and vanishing into her belt. Her skeleton small and spare. Her eyes, lost in the fatty ridges of her face, looked like 2 small pieces of coal pressed into a lump of dough as they moved from face to another. Part 1 also reveals part of the reason why Emily died alone. Emily's father had turned down most of Emily's suitors. By the time he died, Emily had no suitors. At this point in America history, women were generally defined by their role as a mother, wife, or daughter. Because of this, the town felt bad for Emily. Also, out of respect for Emily's deceased and well-regarded father, the country made Emily exempt from paying town taxes. So this much has been described in section 1 of the story. To take up the section 2, in section 2, the narrator further elaborates upon the collective pity the town felt for Emily once her father had died. All her father had left behind was the house. When people stopped by to express condolences about her father's death, Emily told them that her father was not dead. She did that for 3 days, with the ministers calling and doctors persuading her to let them dispose of the body. Eventually, there was a strange order that emanated from Emily's house. Faulkner alludes to the possibility that Emily had kept her father's corpse in her room. The narrator confides, to quote from the text, "We did not say she was crazy then. We believed she had to do that. We remembered all the young men her father had driven away. And we knew that with nothing left, she would have to cling to that which had robbed her, as people will." So the section 2 finishes with people feeling pity for Emily, and the reason has been cited in the following sections, that because of her father rejecting the suitors that came from Emily's hand, this was what happened to Emily, and hence she stayed alone throughout her life. Now we'll move on to section 3 of the story. In section 3, we are described how Emily had started to physically transform. Her hair was short. She looked like a girl with a vague resemblance to those angels in colored church windows, sort of tragic and serene. She rarely left her house, and the public did manage to see her now and then. A significant aspect of Section 3 is that Emily meets Homer Barron, a single northerner who is in town to oversee the construction crew making sidewalks. The writer describes Homer Barron as a Yankee, a big, dark, ready man with a big voice and eyes lighter than his face. The little boys would follow him in group to hear him cuss the niggers, and the niggers singing in time to the rise and fall of pigs. But it is believed that wherever there was a crowd of people laughing, Homer Barron would be the center of the group. Both Emily Greason and Homer Barron started seeing each other, and on Sunday afternoons they would drive together in the yellow-wheeled buggy and the matched team of bays from the livery stable. But it is believed that Homer's reputation was scandalous. The narrator describes him as a man never meant for marrying. It is still in question whether Faulkner's reference suggests Homer as a gay, or rather just a man who is not meant for settling down. When Homer Barron and Emily Greason started going out together, the people of the town again started speaking. To quote, they said, "Poor Emily," the whispering began. "Do you suppose it is really so?" they said to one another. "Of course it is. What else could?" This behind their hands, rustling of crane's silk and satin behind jealousies closed upon the sun of Sunday afternoon as the thin, swift clop, clop, clop of the mashed teams passed. Poor Emily. Now this was the reaction of the town people when Emily Greason started seeing Homer Barron. The third section finishes with an interesting episode in which Emily Greason goes to purchase rat poison from the shop. She says to the druggist, "I want some poison." She was over 30 then, still a slight woman, though thinner than usual, with cold, haughty black eyes in a face the flesh of which was strained across the temples and about the eye sockets as you imagine a lighthouse keeper's face ought to look. When Miss Emily Greason purchases poison, the town people again started speaking about her. They feel as if something is wrong between Emily Greason and Homer Barron, and they again start talking as to whether the affair would be successful or not. Finally, Emily Greason manages to get the poison for herself. The Negro delivery boy brought her the package. The druggist didn't come back. When she opened the package at home, there was written on the box under the skull and bones, "For rats." So in section 1, section 2 and section 3, we have seen the development of the story right from the beginning of death of Emily Greason, the people's reaction on her death, the background that Emily Greason had, the love affair which Emily Greason had in her life, and section 4 and 5, the summary of which we'll be taking in tomorrow's class, deal with the tragic end the story has. What happens to Emily Greason? Does she have a marriage with Homer Barron, or does Homer Barron leave her for good? That remains the climax of the story, which will be discussed in the summary in tomorrow's class. Thank you, students.